Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kroll's weekly threat intelligence briefing for the 15th of December 2025. My name is Ryan Hicks. With me today is Mark Messer and Ethan Affery from the threat intelligence team. This week, we'll be covering the following topics. Firstly, I'll be covering Microsoft Patch Tuesday for December, followed by the React 2 shell vulnerability, then onto government reporting on PRC actors deploying BRICKSTORM, and finally, from me, several critical Fortinet vulnerabilities. Mark will then be going over 01flip, a new ransomware family, and Ethan will finish off looking at Storm 0249 reporting. So first up here, looking at Patch Tuesday. So just a relatively quick release notes for this month. Microsoft fixed in total 70 vulnerabilities in this December patch cycle and Microsoft Edge releases. The patch addresses 28 privilege escalation vulnerabilities, 19 remote code execution vulnerabilities, 13 rated as critical severity by Microsoft, and one 0-day. That 0-day you see in the top left is one that Microsoft assessed being exploited in the wild, although no further details appear to be available at this time. And it's for CVE-2025-62221, carries a CVSS of 7.8, and it affects the Windows Cloud Files mini filter driver. And that could allow an authorized attacker to elevate privileges locally, so it requires authentication already. No further kind of reporting around other vulnerabilities, but we're keeping a lookout for any additional exploitation of any of those vulnerabilities, and we'll report accordingly. Next, start looking at React 2 shell. So threat actors with ties to North Korea have been observed exploiting the recently disclosed React 2 shell vulnerability in React server components to deliver a previously undocumented remote access Trojan named EtherRAT. The vulnerability itself is CVE-2025-59718. And you see the details on the left there. Carries a CVSS score of 10, obviously critical, the highest rating. EtherRAT, which was delivered, leverages Ethereum smart contracts for command and control, deploys 5 independent Linux persistence mechanisms, and also downloads Node.js from nodejs.org. The activity that was seen overlaps with the long-running contagious interview campaign, which has targeted blockchain and Web3 developers, largely kind of in the financial sector, through fake job interviews and coding assignments throughout this year. Further analysis of the activity and the vulnerability can be found in the report itself. We're also going to link some additional resources to follow. Key recommendations really are here to patch immediately across affected React server components, and also a side note related to that contagious interview, recommendation for user awareness on that continued social engineering on that campaign, especially kind of that fake job interview and the sort of fake code assignments leading people to sort of downloading repositories and running them. And next, some reporting from government agencies. So this is from a joint reporting from CISA, NSA, and the Canadian Centre of Cybersecurity. They released analysis of the People's Republic of China actors or state-sponsored actors using the Go-based backdoor BRICKSTORM. The victimology they noted kind of centered around technology and government sectors, which kind of aligns with the groups that are involved. BRICKSTORM itself provides the actor with an interactive shell with really full control to infected systems, various features such as file manipulation, exfiltration, as well as SOCs proxy capabilities. And it also makes use of encryption in the form of HTTPS, WebSockets, and nested TLS to hide its command and control traffic, looking to obscure amongst legitimate traffic in the victim environment. Although the initial access method was not really clear in the reporting, a web shell was used for access early on in the compromise, which allowed the attacker to move laterally to the domain controller. They obtained ntds.dit, which then allowed them to pivot to the VMware vCenter server, and that was where the BRICKSTORM deployment happened. And really, on this story, recommend reading the full CISA report for their full analysis, particularly those in the tech and government sectors, which this appeared to affect the most. And lastly, for me, again, back to kind of vulnerabilities. Fortinet released an update that fixed 18 flaws, two of which going over now, the critical vulnerabilities, which is CVE 2025-59718 and 719. The Fortinet advisory noted a CVSS of 9.1. However, NIST rated it as 9.8, although both are deemed critical in severity. They affect 40 OS, 40 proxy, 40 switch manager, and 40 web. No exploitation in the wild has been reported yet, but is a remote and unauthenticated vulnerability. And if exploited, it may allow an unauthenticated attacker to bypass the FortiCloud SSO login authentication via a crafted SAML message if that feature is enabled on the device, which is a kind of a crucial part of that. And Fortinet note that that particular feature, so the FortiCloud SSO login feature, is not enabled by default in factory settings. However, if an administrator registers the device to FortiCare, they have to disable the option to stop that feature being enabled. So if the administrator registers the device to FortiCare, if they don't untick that, that feature will be enabled and potential for kind of potentially vulnerable to this. Besides patching, of course, the only workaround it for vulnerabilities is to disable the FortiCloud login feature if not required. However, patching is certainly the highest recommended option for both these vulnerabilities and the rest that were captured in that fix. Now I'll hand over to Mark.
Thank you, Ryan. Palo Alto's Unit 42 has reported on a newly discovered ransomware family that they are titling OneFlip. That's with a 0 padded 1, which is tracked internally at Kroll as KTA527. This group was discovered during the investigation of a suspicious Windows binary and is named for the file extension applied to encrypted files, a OneFlip, as well as the email address for contact within the ransom note, oneflip@proton.me. Reported victims at this time are primarily based within the Eastern and Southeastern Asia. CTPs utilized by the company include exploitation of vulnerable internet-facing applications for initial access, sliver implants for persistence, as well as lateral movement and credential dumping. OneFlip ransomware itself is developed in Rust, which lends itself towards anti-analysis due to significant size of the binaries, as well as differences that can make other tools function incorrectly, such as a lack of null string termination. User-defined strings such as configuration details are encoded within the binaries. Ransom notes are dropped in all directories where file encryption takes place. Within the configuration details for extension blocking, lockbit is also noticeably present, which may indicate a relationship with the threat actor that is already known as lockbit or KTA273. Our recommendations for organizations are to make sure that you're deploying and maintaining EDR, utilize application allow listing where possible, and to keep your users educated. Thank you, and back to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mark. And finally, hand over to Ethan.
Thanks, Ryan. Initial access broker Storm0249 has abandoned mass phishing in favor of highly targeted stealthy campaigns that weaponize legitimate endpoint detection and response solutions in preparation for ransomware attacks. The sophisticated attack chain begins with the click-fix social engineering tactic, convincing victims to execute malicious curl commands in the Windows Run dialog. This action downloads an illicit MSI package with system privileges and a fileless PowerShell script that executes entirely in memory, bypassing disk-based defenses. The core evasion technique involves DLL sideloading. The MSI drops a Trojanized DLL strategically alongside a trusted signed EDR executable. By executing malicious code within this legitimate EDR process, the activity is treated as a routine by security tools, achieving persistence and bypassing nearly all traditional monitoring. Following compromise, Storm 0249 utilizes legitimate Windows administrative utilities like reg.exe and findstr.exe to collect unique system identifiers, specifically the machine GUID. To defend against this tactic, security teams may move beyond signature-based detection and implement behavior-based detection to flag anomalous DLL loads. Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan. Yeah, ClickFix seems to be certainly a continued theme throughout the year, so it'll be interesting to keep an eye on into 2026. We'll certainly be monitoring, but yeah, certainly a huge chunk of the reporting and threats that we've seen in the social engineering side. So that's all we have for this week. Just noting here, we'll be pausing the briefing for this year. This will be the last one for 2025. We'll be resuming in the new year on January 5th, and Kroll customers will continue to receive out-of-band alerting where applicable during this time. If you have any questions, please contact us there at cti@kroll.com. Thank you and see you in the new year.